Okay, I think we can officially start off and kick off this webinar. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I hope you've had a great week so far. If it's been a busy or a cracker for one like mine, well, just know that it's Friday and it's the weekend. So it's always great to look forward to. And what better way to end off by learning something new or just upskilling and self-improving yourself as a professional? And I think that's why we all are here today. I'm your presenter for today, Shuaib Yunus. I'm the BIM Technical Specialist for Civil Infrastructure and Mining here at Baker Bains, and I'm also a civil design engineer. And today's webcast or series is the conclusion of our Intelligent Stormwater Design series, part 3, using Autodesk Civil 3D and Devotech iDAS. So let's jump in and see what we're going to be looking at today. Okay, so I do see that there are a few new people or few users that have joined in for this webinar series that have not been following from the start. Don't worry, I always have you covered here. Just an overview of what the webinar series has consisted of thus far. We decided to do a 3-part webinar series focusing on stormwater design, how to do it much more intelligently, much more systematically, and much more easier. And this was the content that was covered. So we had done part 1, which was focusing on the actual setting out, laying out, and modeling of the actual stormwater network. And the snapshot on the right was the actual 3D model of it. And then, of course, we looked at part 2. Part 2 was focusing on the analysis, which was the bulk or the heavy hitting of the actual content of the series. Okay. And today we're going to be looking at focusing at the easy part, which is drawing production and quantification. Okay, so you've done your model, you've done the analysis, everything looks great. Now you've got to issue for construction or get your drawings up and running. So this is where we are focused on that. Okay, so that's what the series has consisted. A quick snapshot. Again, we'll jump back to that later on in the presentation. But for today, this is what we normally have. You know that our staple is always an introduction to who we are as Baker Bains. It's always great to see new people on the webcast or the webinars, which always keeps us motivated. Then if you are new or not aware of Devotech iDAS, I'm going to give you a very quick 2-slider overview of what it is and what it does, especially if you're in the civil engineering design spectrum, which you should be. And then, of course, we're going to have a quick recap as to what was covered in part 1 and part 2 of the series. And then in part 3, we are going to be covering just those 4 points, which is sweet and short. We're going to create stormwater pipes and structure tables so you can get a quantification table that you would need. Great thing is we can also derive the volume calcs via SAB 1200. And of course, then we're going to just generate the sheets and make any adjustments needed to the drawing. So if that sounds good, let's just jump in. So about us, Baker Bains, we are of course based here in South Africa, and if you had to look at us in a snapshot, this is what it is. We specialize in survey and design hardware consultancy. We do design software. We do business process improvement, analysis and consulting, as well as blended learning. The main thing that you can actually take away from this slide is, first of all, we are an Autodesk service provider select. It's a very niche market to be a part of. It shows that we have the right professionals in our team to help you design and make a better world, as well as help you with your consulting processes and design applications. And we are also listed on the Autodesk services market as a services marketplace provider. The rest of the affiliations and brands I'm going to touch on in the next actual slide, which is this one here. So of course we are an Autodesk reseller, but that is not our primary focus. We do sell the software like a typical reseller, but we, in addition to that, we provide consulting expertise and insight. In terms of the partnering brands that we do have or we are partnered with, it's of course Leica. The machine that you're actually seeing there is the BLK360. I've actually done a machine scan with it on a mine, I think about a month back. I supposed to post it on LinkedIn. I'll probably try and get to it today so you can have a look at what was scanned and how it looked in the point cloud format. Really good machine. We typically use it for built environments, so architectural applications, buildings. Really, really good, very simple, easy, compact to use. That top dome part literally fits in the palm of your hand. Very, very versatile. If you're going more rugged, so if you're more in the civil engineering, construction, mining space, which I'm constantly dealing with, you'll need the Topcon. We've got that machine there, the actual GTL 1000, very, very good machine for setting out and scanning applications. We've also got the GLS 2000, which the starting range goes up to 120 meters in range, with the higher end going up to a 500-meter laser scanning distance, which is a very big distance. If you're curious about the Leica, the one on the top, that goes 60 meters, which is perfect for building applications. Today's focus is going to be using Civil 3D and iDAS. So we are also a partner of iDAS, which stands for Infrastructure Design Automation Suite. It is a mouthful, so hence iDAS. And last but not least, CAD learning. CAD learning as a designer is a must. The reason why I say this is it's an online portal with predominantly or majority of the Autodesk software. So if you're doing Civil 3D, Recap, Revit, Advanced Steel, Plant 3D, Inventor, 3ds Max, InfraWorks, Map 3D, and many more, they are all on this platform. This platform has pre-recorded videos of how you would use the software from fundamentals to intermediate to probably advanced in certain areas. Helps you to get up and going with the software, especially if you have to learn on the go with a project. Very great. You can listen at your own pace. There's exercise files that you can download, as well as you can test yourself. So let's say you've finished the course and you want to check how good you were or how much you have absorbed. You can do a test, and whatever you got wrong, it will filter that out and create a customized playlist. So you don't have to go back and think of what you have gotten wrong or what you have to focus on and go through the entire playlist. It will actually give you a filtered playlist, so you just focus on those topics. It's a brilliant tool. If you have, or if you want more info on it, I did send our contact details on the actual chat, but I'll also have it up on the end of the webinar where you can contact me. Then, of course, in terms of if you're more of a segmentation or a specialized field and you want to know what we support, this is more or less the fields that we play in. So we call build more or less vertical construction, so structural engineering of buildings, architectural, anything going up basically is we categorize as build. We've got manufacturing, which is more or less on a PDM, process design and manufacturing. Really good product design manufacturing content that we actually specialize in. Civil infrastructure and mining, which is the space and build that I play in. Civil engineering, so your roads, your pipe networks, water, some GIS. It's a very broad field. We cover that as well. Mining, of course, mining applications are very similar to civils. Energy, so process plant energy, we call it PIM and mining. So you can see we essentially cater for every segment, every major segment. And the great thing or the interesting part of my job is making all of these talk to each other. But I'll get to that in the next or at the end of the webinar. How do we make this work? We have an iAdopt methodology that's unique to us. In essence, we assess your current processes, your current circumstances. We educate your team, your people, as well as yourself to actually fish for yourself, as well as if it's a bit out of your depth, we can consult with you and help you achieve your tasks at hand. And our goal is to promote digital transformation in our industry, especially civil infrastructure, which is mine, and facilitate positive change management. Okay, so you've got more or less an idea who we are. I'm just going to talk about the product that we're using today, or iDAS, if you're not sure what it is. So first of all, it stands for Infrastructure Design Automation Suite. It was developed here in South Africa. It's an add-on. It fits into Civil 3D. And we've got head offices in South Africa and New Zealand. And we, Baker Benz, are a reseller of iDAS here in South Africa. So what makes this a really good application or a good fit for Civil 3D? Civil 3D is a brilliant tool and it's adopted worldwide, leading in civil infrastructure design. However, it does lack or lag in certain areas, especially in the pipe networks part of things. And in South Africa, if you want much more of a localized system, iDAS provides that. First of all, you can do all of the analysis in one platform, so no need for exporting. It supports rational method, IPSWIM. You can do a lot of different other applications in it, and it just makes Civil 3D much more fuller of a BIM application tool. In terms of the applications or what it helps with or enhances, it helps you to survey and surfaces much more better because of the platform styles, plus the localization, the point style being that you know that South Africa is in the southern hemisphere and most of the software is designed for northern, if it's designed primarily in Europe or the US. And this actually takes into contact that and allows you to apply a successful correction. You can use it for stormwater, sewer, bulk water, pressure pipes, roads. There's a whole list of it. I've got a snapshot of the website on the right-hand side. So if you want to go check it out, please do. There's a lot of brilliant content there, and you can also download a trial at that link. Okay, today, of course, we're focusing on stormwater. Okay, great. So now that the formalities are out of the way, we are going to jump into the topic at hand, okay, which is designing. So let's have a quick look at what has happened so far. Okay, so today we're going to be recapping, or just before I jump into part 3, we are going to be, I'll just give you a quick rundown on what part 1 and part 2 consisted of, a more in-depth explanation. So if you're joining us for the first time today, so this is what happened. We had generated, or I had generated a location here in South Africa, which is actually close to Mall of Africa in Midrand. I created the model in InfraWorks and I geolocated to our South African local coordinate system. So hard BSWIC 94, I think it was LO29 that I used, or LO27, just kind of slipped my mind at the moment, but it was perfect. It was coordinated perfectly. And then what we were tasked to do was, first of all, to model the network. We did that using a polyline, we converted it, we created a pipe network with the manholes, the curb inlets, the whole shabam, if I could call it that. Then we conducted the analysis. So you can see the video below, that one there. That's more or less the analysis phase that we covered in part 2. Part 1 is more or less the conceptual model that we started off with at the top and we linked it to Civil 3D. And today we are going to be focusing on drawing production and quantification. So if you wanted a more structured approach of what has happened, this is more or less it. I'll get to the slide at the end, but today we're going to be working on quantification and plan production and sheet production. Okay, so let's jump in. So let's start off first with creating stormwater pipe and structures tables. So this becomes very handy for quantity takeoff, as well as just an idea of the catalogs that make up your actual network. So let's have a look at it. So this is where we stopped last time. Okay, as you can see, we've got our surface. Those cyan lines, those are more or less for the flow parts that we used in the analysis phase. The orange lines were actually the parcels that we had created. And as you can see, we have, I've just left on the super elevation of the road, and we of course we're checking the labeling of the structure. So as you can see, I'm clicking on the manhole, that's 1.1. And what I am actually going to do is going to go to the properties. Just for interest taste, I'm going to change this on purpose. Okay, so I'm going to give it an outrageous name. So maybe like KI curb inlet for 2 million, right? You'll see why I'm doing this now, just to show you the dynamic nature of the actual software. So I changed that on purpose. On the left, if you're looking, those are the road profiles. And on the right is more or less the pipe networks or the pipe long sections. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go add a structure table right there. So using the utilities function. Again, with the iDAS template, you've got many styles that you can use that have RSA localization to it. And I'm going to just select the stormwater network. If I had to select specific locations, I can use multiple selection and select it in my drawing. And as you can see, I have it set as dynamic. So if any changes are made, it will update. So I'm just gonna position it maybe somewhere here. Let's just give a click. Here we are. Easy as that. Okay. Your structure name, your elevation data, your setting out data is all in there. But the thing I want to show you is, can you see that KI 2 million? I have no idea why I use such a long number, but anyway, we can use that. Now, what we're going to do, I'm going to go and try and find that part in the network. So there's a cool function. So if you want to go and snap to a certain structure or pipe, you can actually search it using Devotech iDAS. I'm just going to move it here. I think it was 2 million. Yeah, there's 6 zeros there. I'm just going to type that in very quickly. And as you can see, it shows you the structure in the long section as well as in plan view, which is a very, very great feature to have. Helps you lock down on your design that much better. And as you can see, as I toggle through it, it updates in the background. Okay, so I'm going to leave it in the plan view. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and change this name back to what it was. So it was manhole 1.1, if I remember. Let's just double check here. So if you're confused about the naming convention, you definitely need to check out the part 1 and part 2, right? So I'm going to change this back. So it was manhole 1.1. So let's just say image 1.1. And once I hit enter, you see the label has updated. And let's go to the table. You can see, where is manhole 1.1? There is it there. All right. So it updated instantaneously. So if you made any changes, it will have updated automatically. And that's what's great about it. So let's go create another table. Let's do it for the pipes this time. So we're going to go and add a pipe table. So we've done the structures. So we picked up the curb inlets and the manholes. Now we're going to do a pipe layout type of thing. Again, same story. I'm going to leave it as dynamic. And I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to drop it maybe somewhere close there. Let's make it a bit neat. Yeah, I think that'll be okay. And as you can see, all the data has pulled in correctly. It gives you diameter class, the slope, the 3D length, and invert. Of course, you can customize those fields if you like, but those are actually quite perfect. All right, so you got your setting out data, you got your quantification, or you got your list of what's going to be used in your network, and that's it. Very simple, straightforward to create your structures and pipe list tables. Okay, so you can see how easy and systematic that was. The next one is to derive the quantities as per the volumes of SABS 1200s. Okay, so you can see that it's abiding to that actual reference. So let's go and have a look what we have to do. So let's resume from our tables that we have created last. Okay, so let's just go there. And what we're going to do is we're going to jump in here, and as you can see, we've got a tab for quantities. Now, if you're seeing that my window is shaking quite a bit, it's because of the new Windows update. So I'm not sure if you're also experiencing it with certain software, but the update's not really that great. So I'm going to export this to my desktop and call it quantities. Okay, hit save. All right, and let's go have a look at what has come up in Excel. So I'm just going to open up Excel for you quickly. Here we go. And all of your stuff has been exported that you needed. Okay, very easy, simple, straightforward. Let's go to a much more comprehensive report. So on the top, you got import and export. And what we're going to do is we're going to export all the table tabulated data for the catchment, inlets, links, manholes, whatever that's ticked there. Again, let's call this maybe tables. Okay, I'm just being a bit lazy with the labeling today, so please forgive me. I'm saving it to the desktop. Let's just hit save. Right, again, just ignore that finicky window there. Again, it's because of the window update that I've applied recently. Hopefully it'll be remedied in the next Windows service pack. But here we are. All of the data is in here. You can tabulate it, copy it, paste it, put it into a report, do whatever you want to. Get as creative as you need. but it's all there for you as a click of a button. Very, very easy. Okay, the next thing is the quantities as per SABS 1200. You can see once I hit the export at intervals of 1 meter, it has already calculated it for me. And if you toggle through the tabs, you can see that it's also done it per meter. So 0 to 1, 1 to 2. You can update that interval to half a meter, 0.1, whatever you like to. And I'm just going to export it and call it volumes. So today's session is quite easy compared to the last one, right? Everything is like by a click of a button at the moment. So let's just open this one and have a look at it. And here you are, all of your volumes. Your volume summary is done as per SABS 1200. Really, really good, really nice. Your diameters, your bedding class, all of those done there. Really nice, compacted, selected full blanket as well. Everything that you would require for SABS 1200 is in there. So you can see what a great advantage using iDAS is with Civil 3D, especially here in South Africa. If you don't want to use it here in South Africa, or you're doing other projects throughout the world, you still have access to the typical Civil 3D catalogs that are built in there. So best of both, actually. Okay, next thing is to create a sheet template. Now, I had a lot of questions on this from last week as to how you would do it or how you would create a typical template. Guys, if you have done AutoCAD or a basic AutoCAD course, the methodology is exactly the same. It's just slightly more intelligent. So let's go have a look at it. So what we're doing now is creating a sheet template. So let's talk you through this. So here are my long sections that I'm just toggling over. And if I go to my paper space, I have created a generic title block. So that's what I've done. I've added some images, nothing too fancy, just for this webinar. And if I click on here, there is a viewport. So this is basic AutoCAD, right? But what we're going to do is we need to format this. But the first thing is to check the paper size. So if I go to Page Setup Manager, you can see I've got it printing to PDF. I've got it as ISO A1. If I change it, you see that the representation on the graphic on the right changes to portraits. Now it's back to landscape. I'm using the Devotech CTB that comes with the installation. So everything is set up correctly according to how I want it to. And now what we're going to do is just giving you a little bit of a tip here. This you don't really have to do because you can always adjust it once the sheets are created, but it'll give you a good idea of what you need to do. So I'm going to be measuring the length and the height of the actual profile view, or the biggest one, right? So again, the snaps don't really work here because it's more like a block. So I think we're looking about 261, right? Let's say 261. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the height. So I can snap to the top. This I would say is about 146 or 45. Let's say 46 just to be a bit conservative. Since engineers, we like to be a bit conservative, right? So I'm going to use 146 there. So I've got the length and the height. I'm going to multiply the height by 2 because that's how it currently works. And we're going to create a viewport to fit this. Again, this is just a checklist type of thing. So I'm going to draw this line in here. So I'm going to snap to the corner and I'm going to go to the right 261. And the height, I'm going to go double what we had. Right, so you can see that there's more than enough space for my profile view. Okay, on this space on the sheet that I'm using because it's quite a big sheet. And what we're going to do, we're going to draw another line just to get the height. So again, this is an optional step. I thought I'll just put it in there for you for some greater insight. And I'm going to have double what I actually measured. So it was 292 if you double it. And the main thing is actually the height of the profile. So that's my viewport dimension. So I'm going to drag my viewport so that it matches that height that I need. You'll see why just now. And then what I can do is if I want, I'm going to copy the top or copy the viewport to the top. And the viewport is going to be a plan viewport. So the plan view of the road, or rather the network, pipe network is going to be on the top. I can delete those lines that I drew for just a guide or auxiliary lines, like people call them. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to format each viewport to a specific function. So I'm going to click on the one at the bottom. And if I go to the properties, I'm going to change it from change it to profile. And then I'm going to select the one on the top, and I'm going to set the property of viewport type to plan. Here we are. So now it's formatted correctly. Again, I've got a scale at the bottom of 1:500 that I'm going to use. You can change it depending what you like. I'm going to lock it because it's kind of good practice to do that. You don't have to, but that's what I've done. The last thing that's actually missing is a north arrow. So let's go add a north arrow. So we go to the top. There's a lot of different ones here. I am going to just use arrow 6 because it's going to look a bit different. I was going to go colorful, but I said, no, let's keep it a little bit formal. And once I insert it or link it to the plan viewport, you can see that it's extremely tiny at the moment. That's not a problem. What we're going to do is we're going to scale it up. You can use a factor of 2000 or even 3000. Let's go with 3000 today. And now I'm going to be positioning it in the top right corner. Again, you might have it in the top left corner. You might have it wherever you need to, depending on your company preference. I'm going to use the top right corner. Okay. So here we are. We've got a good template done and dusted. Very simple, straightforward, basic AutoCAD commands. Just a little formatting for profile and plan for the definitions for the plan viewport and the profile viewport at the bottom. We're all good. We're all set, and we are ready to go. So now that we have created a template, again, the process is exactly the same if you're using just plain Civil 3D as well. Now, what I'm going to do is, since you are familiar with using Civil 3D, I'm going to show you how iDAS uses the plan production to create the sheets. So let's pick off on where we are going now. So this is where we stopped. And let's go back to our model space. So you can see we've got all of the networks and the profile views there. Just to check the profile view height, it's currently 15 meters. Right, as you can see here, I'm going to show you why I'm using that, or why we check that. And if I go to plan production on the top here in the iDAS tab, I can now go and select all of the alignments. So if I go and draw a window along them, a cross window, it will automatically select it and I can carry on. But what I want to do is I want to select these alignments starting or from the longest pipe network to the shortest. So I can go to alignments, centerline alignments, and on the below there, I can go and select them. I can sort them by length. As you can see, they're going from the longest length to the shortest. And I'm just going to hit escape once. So it already has it selected. And then when I go to the plan wizard and it asks me to select alignments, I'm going to type in P for previous. Again, AutoCAD shortcuts are great. Hit enter twice, and now it selected it in the correct order from starting from longest to shortest. As you can see, the custom profile view height is 15. The rest, I can just leave it as it is. You can see I'm using an A1 plan and profile template. That's what I've created. And now it's asking me to drop the profile views in an area that won't overlap anything. And then the next in the command line asks me to select the plan area. So I select the top viewport. Then I select the bottom viewport for the profile. And as you can see below, the sheets have started being auto-generated. Really, really good stuff. Simple, straightforward to use. Okay, and as you can see, it has created the profile views for me, or the long sections for the sheets. And if I toggle now, this is a sample of what you get. You can see it fits in perfectly there. That's why I measured the height. But again, you can always go and adjust the viewports if you need to. You can see that it comes in with all the associated data that we need. And the cool thing is the north arrow is also there. So I'm going to show you that the north arrow is actually configured to your positioning on site. So if I have to move this, I do not recommend fiddling with this, leave it as it is. But if I change it, you can see that the plan updates relative to the north arrow. So I'm just going to undo that. But yeah, you can see it sits in great. All of the sheets are generated. Let's just go to another sheet quickly. You can see that it's just a small segment of pipeline there. What you can do here is maybe adjust the viewport bring it in a bit, and then you can copy paste other viewports from previous layouts so that you could save paper or you can create a combined PDF. That's basic AutoCAD. I'm not going to go into that, so I'm just going to undo that. But you can be way more creative than I am, right? Where you can combine multiple long sections on one sheet. If things didn't fit, like I said, you can always move the viewports up and down, and you can adjust it accordingly. Again, it is basic AutoCAD. So you see how easy it was actually to create those sheets. The last step for today was to apply any adjustments or edits if needed. I've already shown some there previously for the viewport and copying and pasting different types of things. The next thing I'm actually now going to do is just show you what's going on there, right? I see there are some few questions in the chat box. I will get to it to the end. We're just on the last segment here. All right, so let's just push on. So let's look at what adjustments are needed. So intentionally, I've done one, or the long section, there's some labels missing, and that is the depth to invert label. Yeah, that's the one. So if that is missing, we can go and apply that. So let's go to the model space, just to show you that it is dynamic in nature, that if I make a change, it will reflect. So you can see that the label is missing in the depth to invert. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to the top where it says pipes, and we're going to say add pipe network labels, entire network. And this is where we can go and add it. There's different type of label that you can add. I want to look at the profile section, and I am going to be looking for a band for the start and the end labels. Let me just have a look. I think it should be a bit up. Here we go. So I see it. It is actually band depth to invert for start. I'm not going to put on the structure names. I don't need that, but if you're welcome to if you need to, and I'm just going to hit add. Again, all of these styles are pre-built with the Devotech template, which is amazing. You can go now. I just click on the pipe, and now you see the labels have been added there. That's only for the start of the structure. I'm going to add one for the end of the pipe structure. Again, go and click on any pipe that you want to, and it adds it for you automatically. If you want access to this, please go to the Devotech website and download the template by creating a free account. It's like a Gmail thing. It'll allow you to download it. And as you can see, the labels are done there. You've got grips where you can stagger them. I've seen this in some drawings where you can make some labels look like that, some on the top, some at the bottom. Depends how much time you have, guys. I think they're perfect the way they are, but if you want to get a tad bit fancy, this is where you can have a go at it. I don't think I would be doing that personally, but if you want to, by all means, it's there. You will have to go and click at each pipe network or each profile network. This is quite easy. It's very straightforward. Again, all you got to do is just click and on the pipe and it'll add it. So I'm just using the quick repeat function because that's the last command I've used. Again, so you can see your AutoCAD grounding comes in here quite a bit. So if you're a person that loves your AutoCAD shortcuts and stuff like that, Civil 3D is actually, you would really enjoy it. So yeah, I'm just gonna add it for a few more. I'm not gonna, well, let's just do it for all. We're almost there anyway. Again, you can go and also adjust the height of your profile view if it's too big or it's too large. You can make the, you can also use different bands depending on what you needed. Again, those are default Civil 3D fundamentals. You can also specify the range, whether you want a certain part of the actual log section or the entire thing. I just thought I'll show you that. So yeah, I've just added the labels and I think we are done with the plan production. And that's an overview of what we had. So on the left, again, was the profile views for the road. On the right were all of the associated stuff or data for the pipe network. So let's wrap it up. I know you guys are not used to the series being this short. Normally the other ones are much more in-depth, but this is quite an easy aspect of the software. So let's wrap it up. So today what we looked at was we created the stormwater pipe and structure tables for the network. We derived the quantities as per SABS 1200. We created a sheet. I showed you a bit more of an insightful way to do it. You can apply it if you like or not. And then of course we applied any adjustments like labels and stuff like that where we needed. So guys, we are at the end. I never thought this will come quite quick, to be quite honest. If you want to have an overview or just to let me take you through this entire series, we covered quite a bit. So we started off with iDAS. I showed you what it was. I gave you an introduction to it with Civil 3D. Then we created catchments. We used watershed analysis. We used flow path analysis to see where the draining points will be for the site, the low points, the contributory area. We created a pipe network where we inserted manholes, curb inlets. We used Rockla for this, and we also used Swane municipalities, curb inlets type of thing for the structures. So everything was South African, right? And then after we checked the flow direction to see if the pipe was gravitating or into the correct manner or the correct way to reach the outfall designated. Then in part 2, we created the profile, the long section. This was the meat of the actual series. We defined the catchments much more in depth. We created flow paths, and then we applied the rational method wizard that's built into Devotech iDAS to run the analysis by specializing a TC, your time of concentrations. We gave it your coefficients that you would needed, your Mannings, your coefficient factors or your roughness, your contributivity, so your C factors that are normally given in the SANRAL drainage manual. And then of course we ran the analysis for stormwater analysis, and then we updated the profile bands to show the correct data or the associated data in the long sections. And then of course today we finalized the plan production. We created the long sections, we created the templates, we derived the volumes and the quantities and the tables that we needed, and then we applied it, the adjustments or any type of drafting applications or edits that we needed. And that was actually from concept to construction, guys. I don't know if you've realized this, but this series literally went the entire workflow, right? So it went from conceptual design or inception or desktop, whatever you title it, right up to construction documentation. Don't ask me to go and construct the network, please. I'm a design specialist, but it'll be pretty easy if your data comes out the way you've seen in this series. So congratulations, guys. Series complete. I just want to say a big thank you to all who have attended. It's really been a pleasure working on this series, and it was very difficult to get the content as precise but as technical as needed. It was a very technical focused webinar series. So I'm really glad that you guys actually completed this and enjoyed it. I see a lot of people from the start that are here today, so thank you very much. So if you wanted to reach us as Baker Bains, this is all our handles, so LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Please check the YouTube channel. I'm getting to that right now. But if you want to reach out to us, say hi, chat with us, follow us, connect, comment with what the stuff that we post. We are really, really active and friendly on our network, so we will interact back with you. So you can just search us on those mediums or platforms and we can get there. And then of course, if you want to connect with me, I say designers assemble, let's connect, right? So my name is Shoaib Yunus. I'm the BIM technical specialist for civil infrastructure here at Baker Bains and mining. You can reach me on LinkedIn, so you can just search my LinkedIn as Shoaib Yunus. As well as my work email, shoaib@bakerbains.com. So if you want to get in contact with me, just to give you a bit of insight, anything civil infrastructure design, if you want to talk, let's chat, or if you want to say hi, you want to connect, yeah, feel free to reach out to me. In terms of my primary focus, there's a whole list there for Autodesk. So Civil 3D is my core, but I also do InfraWorks, Recap, laser scanning, BIM 360. There's a lot. Secondary is more on the structural part. I did start off my engineering consulting or career in a structural office, believe it or not. So my secondary concentration is more on the structural application. So advanced steel, Revit structures, robot structures, and Navisworks. Other focuses on hardware or software, like I said, Leica, the BLK 360 for scanning, Clear Edge, Edgewise. I've done a lot of scan to BIM stuff. Very good software. And last but not least, the question we always get at the start of the webinar: where can we get the recording? So the great thing is that if you are registered for this webinar, as soon as it's uploaded and it's available on YouTube or on our platform, you will get a link to say, hey, thanks for attending, or thanks, you have missed out. So if you can't attend, please still register. So if you do miss it, a link of the recording will be sent to you. But we have a whole ton of webinars that are already on our Baker Bains YouTube channel. You can just type in Baker Bains on YouTube, like and subscribe, please. It's not only in civil engineering like what I'm doing. We've also got webinars on architecture, on manufacturing, mechanical, electrical, mining. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of all of those fields that I showed you initially. We try and host a lot of them, especially on data management and stuff like that. So yeah, now it's the time for Q&A. So I'm going to open up the floor. Please use the chat box if you have any comments, questions, any suggestions. Please give it. I'm going to give you time now. What do you thought of the series? What you think of what's going on? Did you find it useful? If you have any recommendations for the future, I might give you a bit teaser of the next series, but I'd like to hear your feedback. So please use the chat box. We always like to hear from our civil engineers or other professionals in industry what you think of the content. It guides us to produce much more better stuff in the future and much more targeted. So I'm going to give you a minute or two just to do that. Kovalin Kirpin, I hope I said your name correct. Yes, so you can see you will get the recording on YouTube, and also if you've registered, you will receive that link, so that's great. Frankie Abir, thank you so much for your comments. I really appreciate it, and thank you. He says that it was a very excellent series, was a good idea, and was excellently presented. Thank you so much. It means a lot to us here. It always pushes us to do much more better. And he says it actually used the past part 1 and part 2 as references in his own designs. That is fantastic. Thank you so much. That's what I wanted to hear. Yeah, the main focus, believe it or not, was for me as a civil engineer or design engineer, was to create something that you could use in consulting, because I've been there, still do consulting, and I know what challenges face. I've never had this resource when I was in consulting, which sucked, to be quite honest. So I thought I'll do something that's very technically minded, but it will attract the right audience, and this is what I'm seeing today. So thanks, Frankie. I'm greatly happy that you have applied this in your actual design processes. And yeah, look, it's currently we're stuck with online with this whole circumstance that we find ourselves in, but it's still great. I mean, a lot of people are still learning a lot, they're applying a lot, and seeing comments like this makes me very happy as a designer and presenter for this series. So thank you so much for that. Anyone else with any questions? Are you guys awake on this Friday? I know it has been a long week. Come on, I would really like to hear your feedback. If you've been following me on LinkedIn, you should see it was caused quite a stir. It was really well received. So let me know what you think. I mean, even if you're not versatile in stormwater design, I did see a lot of new people joining that expertise do not specialize in stormwater. But what do you think? I see a suggestion here to do one on sewer soon. That's probably on the cards, so just watch out on my LinkedIn. We'll post something hopefully soon on that. Another question is, can you do like sewer and stormwater and all of this in the same model? Of course you can. As you've seen throughout the series, iDAS, it has a water module or water application part or wizard. It's got one for sewer, it's got one for stormwater. You can do all of those same pipe networks in the same model because let's be real, stormwater and sewer always run parallel to each other if you're in that type of field. So you definitely can. I would leave it up to you to actually go and test out. If you get stuck, you do have my contacts. I will put my slide up again just now. Any other questions? Oh, let me just toggle there so you have my all of our contact details. Any suggestions, anything you guys are currently battling with? It doesn't have to be stormwater or water related. It can be civil design related. Let me know. Just type it into the chat box. It could give me a good idea to do some really good webinars. So I'll give it another like 20 seconds. Think of it as your wish list, guys. I did not have this before, where someone will try and figure out something and teach it to me. And of course, it's free. I mean, you just log in and listen. Okay, there's one here for civil collaboration part of things. Okay, and I see there's a Frankie again. So your questions are more or less the same. How do you incorporate basically GIS files into your design? And how did you collaborate with different software? So I'm going to give you a little bit of a teaser or what I'm actually thinking about doing. Let me know what you think about it. So GIS files, I've used them a ton in water design or pipe networks. I actually did one last year for a municipality where we mapped out, I think, about 36 wards that brought in all the metadata for the pipes, and it worked perfectly. So you can do that, definitely can. So give that a shot. When it comes to the civil part of things, I am thinking of doing a next series, but more, probably won't be water focused, but more civil focused. So how you would deal with, I will just give you the software. I'm not going to give you more details. I'm going to make you wait for that, but we're going to look at Civil 3D, InfraWorks, Revit, maybe some advanced steel, maybe Navisworks, maybe 3ds Max. So about talking to each other, how you would coordinate it. So it's going to be that's what I'm thinking of doing for my next series. I haven't given the details yet to my team or haven't putting it down to paper solidly, but that's what I'm thinking. Let me know what you guys think. But that's probably on the cards. Maybe something in sewer. We'll see how it goes. But that's where I'm aiming at. Actually, let's see. Frankie again, add query for analysis. There is a better way to do it. If you look at, I think it was part 1 where I plotted it. I think if you get your grounding right, you will remove that add query. So you just need to make sure that your polylines and stuff like that are plotted correctly, checked correctly, and then what you can do is just run a query for a check rather than a fix. It's a big difference. That's what I did in part 1. But if you generally link in your GIS, you can actually run a query and check it out, like you said. That's the most best way currently used using the Map 3D engine. Unless if you've got ArcGIS online, maybe you can check that and link using the Esri desktop connector or built-in connector for Civil 3D and InfraWorks. See, that might actually give you an answer. But as far as I know, the query and map edit functions are the best way to go and a much more simpler way to go. Another question is how to link Civil 3D finished surface to InfraWorks. So if you've got an SQLite file that has been generated, as you've seen, I started it with InfraWorks just to create more of a collaborative approach. The SQLite file, once you import it into Civil 3D and you've created your final network surface and you link it back to InfraWorks, all you're going to do is relink that updated surface and it will update into InfraWorks. Simple as that. There's a lot of cool videos that actually show it on YouTube. You can check it out. Alternatively, I'm not sure if any of my webinars had shown it, but it's very, very straightforward. So just maybe make sure that your final surface is denoted in Civil 3D, and once you save it, import your Civil 3D surface into your InfraWorks. Make sure it's coordinated or geolocated correctly, and it will update to reflect your final ground or your final design. Anyone else? Is there any other questions, any other comments, any other feedback? Please say what's on your mind. It will be great for me to know and for my team to know that was on here. I'll give it 10 seconds and then I think I'm going to close off. Okay, I don't think we're going to get any other comments or feedback, but if you really enjoyed this, I really would appreciate it if you dropped us an email to just tell us what you thought of it. It's great for our marketing team. It's great for the technical team, which is myself hosting it. It just makes us feel great that we're doing something that's helping you guys out there. So a big shout out to my marketing team, my technical team that came together and hosted the series. It was a really great series. So thank you very much, Andile, for all of your efforts, Karen, from my team, and of course, all of the attendees that have actually benefited from this. I've learned from it as well, believe it or not, even though I use this like every day. They say when you want to learn something or master it, you need to teach it. And that's exactly what my methodology is. So again, thank you so much for the series. Mission complete, if I could say that. I hope you have a great day, a great weekend ahead, and just keep your eyes peeled out on LinkedIn for anything. If you know a buddy that has missed this, please reshare our posts on LinkedIn so that everyone can benefit. I saw a lot of people tagging people in the comments, and that really helped all of us learn together. So please keep that up for my future webinars. I would really appreciate it. And yeah, just have a great day, have an awesome Friday, and catch you guys soon. Have a good one.